Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dumb and Dumbest podcast with me, Matt Bacon, and your beautiful, wonderful, radiant, glorious lines of glory, dragonesque, feline, leonine, masculine, musky scented, girthy,
Dragon Energy.
Curtis Dewar.
That's me. Dragon Energy, Matt.
So, today we are talking about
Oh, there's no such thing as too much attention.
That's right.
Too much.
What inspired this topic, Curtis?
Well, it wasn't anything necessary. It wasn't anything real. Well, it was an indirect conversation I recently had with someone who will remain unnamed, obviously, where they were worried that if they post too much or talk too much about their band, people will get turned off by it. And that's just not true.
Yeah, but there's a way to do it.
There is, but it's just not true in general because most people. Because I mean, if you look at things like most brands that you know, they're advertising everywhere. Like Coca-Cola, right? Do people stop drinking Coke because they see 10 Coke commercials today and they see the jingle and they see the billboard and the ad in the newspaper and they see the ad on their screen and they see it on their phone? No.
Yeah, that just encourages people to drink more Coke. I get it.
It's like you talk about the rule of 7, except Coke applies like the rule of like 7 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's very. If you're like someone who goes outside, it's very hard to spend a day without seeing a Coke ad.
Yeah, or a billion other products. Like, what about even something like Cheerios? You know?
Yeah, to a lesser extent, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you got even things like Apple. You know, all sorts. Like, I mean, there's like a zillion different examples you can give.
Yeah, and I think that's really valuable and really important to kind of remember is that like these people are constantly pushing. You know, again, that being said, I think it's important not to be a Gornlord about it.
A what?
A Gornlord?
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Oh, it's a phrase my friend Zach Mild came up with.
Okay. For the rest of us, Matt.
It's just like, you know, like someone who's like kind of a dweeb about promoting their band and is like, oh, come buy our tickets and support your scene, bro. Like,
well, support your scene, bro, is a stupid way of doing it because that's like saying you're helping us instead of putting your attention on the customer who is the listener.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is I think a lot of people, when you tell them, you know, promote,
yeah,
they hear make other people care, you know, like how do I make other people feel bad for not helping me, essentially.
Yeah, making other people wrong about not going to your show or buying your album isn't the way to promote yourself. That's just wrong. That's totally unfair.
And that's being a Gornlord. It's like,
so don't be a Gornlord or whatever the heck it is you said.
Yeah, just you know, don't. It's not hard. It's just a question of like, you know, you have to appreciate where you're coming from, and you have to appreciate, you know, like not everyone wants to know about your band all the time, right? But people do want to know about your band, and you do need to pitch it to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but like I think that it's important to talk about. I think okay, so here's what I think the issue is. I think there's a lot of people out there who are trying to tell you how important their band are and how all these big people are interested.
Yeah.
Like you know, you always make fun of the band who says like big things coming soon.
Don't you say that a lot though, Matt?
Yeah, except I have big things coming soon. That's the difference, right? Is like if you're, you know, like when I say big things coming soon, that means like a tour. When a lot of these bands say big things coming soon, it's like a demo nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it is for them, but
I think it's important to realize where you're at and what you're doing. You know, like in context. The self-awareness is something I think a lot, you know, that's very hard to kind of come by, and I think that it's important to kind of be somewhat in your face, and so I don't want to say arrogant, but to an extent arrogant.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to kind of do it in a way where it shows you're realistic and not completely lost up your own ass.
Yeah, like for example, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. Arrogance is key, but you don't want to be overly arrogant. Cocky is probably the right word, but not necessarily displaying the cockiness 100% of the time while still feeling it yourself. It's probably more like what you're trying to say, I think.
Essentially, yeah. I think it's a question of like, realize if you were a fan of a band, if what you're posting about is something that people would care about.
And if
Right.
not, you got to dress it up so it will be.
Yeah. And don't like try, and if you have to justify to yourself why someone would care about it, then that would probably be sort of be an indicator that this is not something you should be talking about.
Now, just to clarify, because Matt is not saying that you should not tell people why they should like your band. What he's trying to say, as far as I can tell, is that if you have to come up with reasons why people should actually like your band, other than some sales points, that's wrong. That's
Reason someone should care that you're doing that you're making your own coffee. Like if you're gonna make your own coffee, which is I think a great idea. Realistically, does anyone actually want fucking your band's coffee? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that's hard to judge sometimes.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely because I mean you meet a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum. You meet a lot of people who think, oh, everyone's gonna care about my band's coffee, and then you meet a lot of people who are like in bigger bands who are like, oh, no one would give a shit.
Yeah, you got to get that balance going is what you need. You need to be confident while not being a douche face about it, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but also, but again, being realistic. And I think, again, this is where observing other bands in your scene is very helpful because it tells you what types of products your scene actually wants and what your scene responds positively to.
I agree.
Right? Because ultimately that's what matters, is figuring out what the community is interested in and what the community is actively going to be like, oh, these are products I want. No one in fucking hardcore wants, I don't know, fucking like sweatpants shorts. I literally saw a hardcore band, they're broken up now, that sold sweatpants shorts. Like, like people aren't looking for that. Like, maybe if they had invested their money in a piece of merchandise people actually want, they wouldn't be broken up now.
Reversely, though, if Kiss did that, they'd probably sell some.
Yeah, but Kiss already, the thing is, Kiss already have a brand and already have a cult of people who will buy anything Kiss do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the us versus them mentality and the Kiss Army and stuff for a later episode.
Yeah.
I actually do think Kiss Army would be a great episode of this.
Yeah, like with the right. Yeah, I agree with you. Kiss Army would be a great episode.
But regardless, okay, but just to transition back, okay. Don't think that you can create your own army unless you actually do have devout fans. To go back all the way to the original topic that we were talking about in terms of too much attention.
No.
Again, you don't want to come off as like a nerd who's desperate for attention. You want to come off as someone who has legitimate things that people should care about. And
it all goes back to the way you frame it / how you present it.
Yes, the packaging is essential.
Yeah, like one thing that would be that's really good to do is if you take a look at what some of the bigger labels and bands do when they present their music, like the ones not necessarily like Metallica level, but like lower level, Yeah. Anyways, I cut you off, Matt.
No, I totally agree. I think I had a chess coach who always used to tell me, instead of looking at like chess masters and stuff and grandmasters, because those guys are like on a different level, like completely. He'd always make us look at people who were like a few hundred like rating points above us, because like they were clearly better than us, but not so much better than us that we couldn't understand their game.
Yeah, like for our level, you could be talking like for a brand new band, you could be saying like, look at something like Ripple or how their bands present themselves or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, but I think there's also bands who are very, very good at cultivating the attention around them. I think, and I think there's a lot of bands, the smart bands, what you do when you're trying to get attention is you create the personal connection, you create a reason for people to care. The smart bands, like when they like break into the sort of national stoner rock scene, as that is like super supportive and everyone's included and all that. The smart bands go out and fucking DM every single person and build those relationships, and suddenly there's a ton of attention directed towards them because everyone's like, oh, Shane's a good dude, and like that's because fucking Shane went out and made friends with everyone. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with, like the band has to be good. Like obviously the music is the product we're selling, but like you want to be able to have that connection and make it, almost painfully obvious.
Yeah.
Why people should be giving a shit.
I agree.
So
is there such a thing as too much attention? I would say no. Going back to
there really isn't. Look at the Greta Van Fleet thing.
Yeah, I checked out their album after reading a negative review, and I think I like them now.
There you go.
Boom.
Curtis has bad taste in rock.
Well, hey, here's another great example of something that got me into a band. Is a few years ago, probably 2012, whatever it is. Well, that was like 6 years ago, come to think of it. Like Ancient Wisdom. I read a bad review of theirs. Caused me to check their album out. Love the band now. I think I've listened to all their albums and purchased many of their things.
Yep. There you go.
From an awful review. Another good example is Fudge Tunnel. I read an awful review of them back in 2000 or 1990, whatever. Ended up buying their album. Loved it.
1990, whatever, because Curtis is trying to hide how old
I don't remember what year Hate Songs in E minor was released.
I believe 92. I'm going to look now.
I don't know. Hate Song. Might have been Hate Songs was the first one I bought, I think. I can't remember.
So so you can't really have too much attention because people are going to check it out just out of curiosity at that point, and assuming you have something good, it'll grow. That being said, like if people are talking shit and what you're delivering isn't absolutely perfect, because people talk shit because they're jealous, and people talk shit because you legit suck.
Usually it's more because they're jealous if the band's getting a lot of attention. But yeah.
If the band is good, you'll be okay. So make the band the fucking best thing possible.
Yep. And Creep Diets came out in 93. It was Creep Diets I was thinking of, not Hate Songs.
Okay, so you're not that old.
No.
Point being, and then once you have the attention, have new content to direct. Like, I think if I were Greta Van Fleet, would have been really smart, would be they drop the album, everyone is all freaked out about it. If next week they drop a new song that's like super Led Zeppelin aping, that would destroy the internet.
I agree.
Like, can you imagine how angry people would be? It would be great.
Yeah.
Sort of like how Avenged Sevenfold, they have a tendency to like drop little EPs after they drop a record, right? Because all the attention was directed on the record. Everyone talked shit because Avenged Sevenfold's easy to hate on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what do? They drop a fucking EP. So suddenly there's more content.
Just as an aside, why is there a lot of hate of Avenged Sevenfold? I finally checked them out about a year ago after hearing all the hate, expecting them to be like the worst god-awful thing I'd ever heard, and they weren't that bad.
They're like a pop metal band, I guess. I don't know.
They're not bad, though. I mean, they're not like... I don't know. I was trying to figure it out because I'd heard all this awful stuff about Avenged Sevenfold for years.
I think that... So, like, I enjoy Avenged Sevenfold because I was 8 years old when, the record that was really marketed to kids came out. And, I am in the demographic of people who are supposed to like Avenged Sevenfold. Like, I was the right age. They were placed in the Madden NFL 2006 video game. Like, I was the person Avenged Sevenfold was trying to market to. And so I have, and it's like fast, cool guitar music that's too extreme for my dad. Um, you know what I mean? So like, I think Avenged Sevenfold is cool, but I also appreciate, I think, where people are coming from when they say they hate it, because they did kind of represent a type of very polished boy band-esque metal.
I guess. I don't know. I like what I heard a few months ago or whatever. I didn't think it was that bad at all myself. So whatever. But I also grew up with glam metal, so hey.
Yeah. So what do you know?
What do I know? I know nothing. And I bought Fudge Tunnel when I was like 15 too. So what do I know?
Point being, what do you have to plug?
Well, today I have a few things to plug. Number one being Dead Register has a new track called Ender, currently playing over at Terra Relicta. And you should go check it out because both Matt and I work with Dead Register, and Sebastian and his wife are very cool people. They're kind of like Typo Negative / Pinkish Black type thing, so I highly recommend you go check it out. Next up, I got a full stream of Will's Dissolve's new album, supposed to be hitting Metal Injection anytime today now. So assuming you are listening to this tomorrow, you should be able to check it out right now. Anyways, that's it.
Awesome. Curtis is about to go pick up his kids, and then we're going to work on our webinar, which is coming out next week, I believe. So that's pretty exciting to see coming together finally, now that we've been hyping it for a little while. Also coming up, we've got the $50 a month social media feedback. Hit me for a free hashtag list. We've got Prophecy Fest coming up. That's the big thing I want to push. It's going to be really, really, really good. Like it's going to sell out, so you probably want to buy tickets now. Fucking Alcest, Vaster, Chaodot, the list goes on. I've been doing a ton of interviews for it. November's Doom, I was just emailing with, so they'll be really cool. And to talk about big things coming up, I've got a couple really cool announcements in the works. So check that out, and also check out Dropout merch when you get a chance, because we probably stock your favorite band. Anyway,
well, Matt's going to start a Christian metal band too. That's the big news.
Oh yeah, that is the big news. Is I'm working on my Christian metal band.
Group.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Smoke weed, worship Satan, all that good stuff.
Are we done yet?
Are we done yet?